Hello, friends. I'd like to lead us in a visualization today. This concept has come to me over the years in various ways, but I'd like to share it with you in a different one today. If you will, if you feel to close your eyes, you don't have to, but I'm not going to be showing anything here in the way of visuals. This is a visualization you have to do inside your mind. But if you will imagine the world and at the equator itself, where the circumference of the world is almost 25,000 miles, visualize that for every degree of that 25,000 miles, which works out to be roughly about every 70 miles, a little less than 70 miles, there is a person. And that person, we're going to assign some superpowers to these people. So there's going to be 720 of these people, two for each degree. One of them facing north and the other one facing south. And so you can think of them as 70 miles apart roughly, or you can think of them staggered at roughly 35-mile intervals. Again, one facing north, one facing south. And these people have superpowers. For one thing, they can hang out in the ocean. You can think of them as levitating a little bit above the ground. So that, some of them are going to have ocean to look at. And imagine that they can see all the way to the bottom of the earth, in whatever, or the top, whichever way you want to think of it. And that they can not only see all that distance, which of course would be physically impossible because of the curvature of the earth, or if you're a flat earth proponent, then of course they can see to the end of the earth. They just have to be able to see that far, which is a long way. I mean, it is quite a few thousand miles. But anyway, the point being that they have a superpower in addition to that ability to see around the curve, or just to see that far, which is that they can see the essence of what is happening. They can see the births and the deaths. They can see the activity. They can see the health of the planet. Those who are over the ocean can see the fish and the other creatures in the ocean. They can see the whole perspective. But perhaps even more important than just the fact that these 720 people, each of them have a vision of what's happening in their little slice, their little degree of the planet, they have the ability to intuitively share what they see, what they feel, what they perceive with each of the other 719 people in this circle around the globe. And in so doing, the collective of them have the ability to feel and understand and perceive the totality of what's happening in the world today. Just take a moment to feel what that would be like. And now imagine, if you will, imagine that we all have the ability to receive, to perceive what all of them are perceiving. So that it's not just me with my two eyes looking at, the narrow view that I get to see when I walk out my door, or that I see when I'm in my house, in my apartment, in my dwelling, wherever I may be, but that I see the totality of the world, and that I can understand, based on what I see, where there's a problem, where there's pain, where there's disharmony, where there's something that can be addressed, because some of those things can't really be addressed in the typical way. We can't stop every little boy or girl from skinning their knee or falling down at some point. If you're going to learn to walk, you're going to also learn to fall down and get back up again. It kind of comes with the territory. So there are certain parts of this that can't be alleviated. But in another way, there is the ability to make a world that helps people grow and that doesn't harm the world. There's a way to see the totality. Now, if you have had your eyes closed, you're welcome to open them now. Try to live in such a way as to be able to feel the realities of other people. We read in our daily meditations during the weekdays, we read from a book of Swami Kriyananda's called Living Wisely, Living Well. And in the last few days, he has given, in fact, I'll just read one, though. I'll read the one from yesterday because it's pertinent, and he touches on this in a gentle way. He's talking about wealth, and he says, wealth, if it comes to you, should be treated as a sacred trust. It is not really yours, even if you have worked hard to acquire it. Karma, again, it will be good karma only if you use it rightly, has given you riches as a means of helping other people. Use your wealth to make this a better world. Otherwise, riches will only suffocate your finer feelings. If they make you feel superior to others, they are a delusion. And this is the part that's relevant to the visualization I was just giving. Treat all human beings as your equals. Remember, a person may be poor financially, but rich in ways that preclude the possession of money. Appreciate others for what they are. And it's just helpful to remember that other people will have other points of view. It seems self-evident. It seems beyond obvious, but it's not obvious. Or perhaps it is obvious and we resent the fact that people have other points of view. And yet, that's what makes this world a rich place. If you think of a couple who've just gotten together and they're in the glow of romantic love and they face each other with great joy and they're exploring the reality of this new glowing love. If they spend their entire lives psychically only facing each other, then their view of the world is sort of limited by just that person that they're looking at. And there's nothing wrong with beginning that way, but it's not necessarily a great ending to just look at that person. Yes, it's better than looking in the mirror and just looking at yourself the whole time. But if you think of the potential that those two people, instead of facing each other, could turn and face the world and serve together side by side in a beautiful way, they could even turn back to back and, sort of having each other's backs and serve all 360 degrees of that world between the two of them. That's a smaller version of my 720 people. But it's just helpful to realize that we can argue about what we see when the other person that we're having this discussion with doesn't see that same view. But what we can learn to realize and grow into is the fact that there's a reason why they see that view. Recently, I learned from my dad why he reads a particular periodical, which is diametrically opposed to his political views. And he said, because I want to know how other people think, and I want to know why they think what they think. And I just appreciated that because it hasn't changed his perception of his approach to the world. It hasn't changed his political persuasions, but it's given him a broader view of humanity. He's trying to understand, why do people think what they think? And that ability to hold a different point of view in your mind while still being true to what is real for you on the inside is a mark of maturity. Swami Kriyananda gave a beautiful definition of the concept of maturity in his book Education for Life. He said maturity is the ability to relate to other people's realities. And it's such a helpful thing. Other people will have different points of view. Wonderful. An opportunity to learn something, an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to appreciate, an opportunity to have a sense of humor, if nothing else. And we can all use more understanding in this world. So try to become one of those 720 people, or if that's too crazy of a visualization, just try to become the person who can see more than what you can see with your own eyes. And this world will become a better place, and your own life will become blessed more and more deeply. Namaste.